India is quietly building a weapon that could change the battlefield forever. And that is making Pakistan deeply nervous. Meet the bunker buster variant of the Agni-V missile, a hypersonic deep penetration warhead that could obliterate enemy command bunkers buried deep under rock and concrete, developed by DRDO. This version of Agni-V is not just any other missile. It is engineered to punch through 80 to 100 meters of reinforced concrete or mountain rock, making it one of the world's most lethal non-nuclear weapons. With a payload of up to 8,000 kilograms and speeds between Mach 8 and Mach 20, that's up to 24,000 kilometers per hour, this missile becomes virtually impossible to intercept. By the time you see it, it's already hit. So what does this mean for India's adversaries, really? It's already making them nervous. A latest report in Pakistan's Dawn newspaper warns that the Indian missile could be aimed at Pakistan. And here's why Pakistan is nervous. You see, Pakistan relies heavily on underground nuclear and missile infrastructure. Sites like Kirana Hills, Masroor Air Base are buried beneath terrain to evade airstrikes. It gives India the ability to destroy nuclear command centers without using nuclear weapons, which brings us to the big question of why now? Why is India developing this now? And the answer is quite simple, because India has reasons to develop such deterrence. Pakistan's nuclear-first posture and China's growing aggression make having strategic dominance essential for New Delhi. And the tipping point, in a way, was the June 2025 US strike on Iran's Fordo facility, which it carried out using its bunker buster that had sent shockwaves across the world. How exactly does India's new missile then stack up against the world's most feared bunker buster? While Agni-V is a missile that flies at hypersonic speeds, the GBU is a guided bomb that drops from 50,000 feet at subsonic speeds. India's missile is also cheaper, more mobile, and much harder to defend against. So it's not just brute force. Agni-V uses cutting-edge targeting systems. Its canister-based launch system basically means that it can be moved and fired from roads or railways quicker and stealthier. Make no mistake here, this missile is a message. It gives India credible deterrence and the ability to destroy underground enemy sites conventionally. And it's also built entirely in India. Only a handful of countries have this kind of technology. India's Operation Sindoor strikes against Pakistan's sponsors of terror involve the use of various missile systems, including the nuclear-capable Agni series, Prithvi 2 and Akash Prime missiles. The presence of Agni served as a silent shield, projecting strength and deterring escalation, and signaling India's readiness to strike hard. And now with the bunker buster version, that capability is no longer just a warning. It's a precision kill option. And US President Donald Trump's tariff bomb was expected to be a mega blow for the Indian stock markets. But surprisingly enough, investors have largely shrugged off the 25% tariff threats from US President Donald Trump. The day began with a setback. The markets opened in the red. Equity investors lost 5 lakh crore rupees in 15 minutes early in the day. But as the day progressed, stocks recovered those losses completely. The blue chip Sensex index, Sensex jumped over 1,000 points, in fact, from the day's low, even as it closed in the red. Domestic stocks remained volatile through the session. However, the reaction was less severe than in April, when Trump first announced higher tariffs. With a more domestic-oriented economy and deep strategic autonomy, India is not folding easily. The fact is, India's exports are only a marginal contributor to the country's GDP, and analysts expect the hit from US tariffs to be limited to only a few sectors. And still, India will face some pain in the near term, especially on the rupee front. The tariffs come just when foreign capital outflows have already been a drag on the Indian currency. The latest tariffs adding to the existing pressure on the rupee from continued foreign fund outflows. and the global risk of sentiment. The rupee fell to a 4-month low, hovering just below its record week level following Trump's tough talk on India. And adding to the pressure, the US has sanctioned 6 Indian companies for buying petrochemicals from Iran. These sanctions block their assets in the US and stop American firms from doing business with them. And while the direct trade impact may be small, it sends out a strong message. This could hurt market sentiment, raise concerns about more trade restrictions, and also put extra pressure on the rupee. Despite the sharp fall, market participants noting that the Reserve Bank of India likely intervened to cap volatility in the currency. And analysts believe, however, that firm intervention may remain limited in the near term given the uncertain external environment. In broader currency markets, Asian peers remained range-bound, while the US dollar index eased slightly. US President Donald Trump once again attacked India-Russia ties in a social media post after announcing the 25% tariff on Indian goods imports effective from Friday. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said he did not care what India does with Russia, quote unquote. He added, "They can take their dead economies down together for all I care," quote unquote. However, his claims are far from the reality. India is the fastest growing major economy in the world and is expected to be the bright light for this year and next. Earlier this year, India displaced Japan to become the world's 4th largest economy.
It is also widely expected that we will become the 3rd largest economy in a few years. Today, international institutions and economists see India as the bright spot in the global economy. India is contributing to almost 16% of global growth.
This week, the International Monetary Fund upgraded its outlook for the Indian economy for this year and next. India is expected to grow at a healthy rate of 6.4% this fiscal year and next. And that is more than double the global average. The fund also raised its projections for emerging markets to 4.1%. The IMF credits this to better than expected activity in early 2025 and a significant reduction in the US-China tariffs. And based on those projections, India is expected to outpace US economic growth comfortably. And that triggers questions regarding Trump's claims of India being a quote-unquote dead economy. And the IMF, by the way, also highlighted persistent risks, especially from Trump's trade policies. The US has pushed its effective tariff rate to 17.3%, far above the global average of 3.5%. Though some hikes have been delayed, US growth for 2025 is now seen at 1.9%, up from 1.8% previously. But inflation is expected to stay above target due to delayed price effects from tariffs. And the Eurozone outlook has improved slightly to 1%, while Russia's forecast was downgraded to 0.9% on weaker oil prices. Significantly, the IMF warns that continued uncertainty, higher tariffs, and geopolitical tensions could undermine future growth momentum. Japan's glitzy host club culture, where young men charm women into spending fortunes for sweet nothings, is under fire. Once masked as a harmless escape, the illusion of intimacy is now unraveling into a national scandal in a way. Authorities have launched a crackdown on these clubs of pseudo-romance, where smooth-talking hosts lure women into ordering exorbitantly priced drinks. For the customers, these clubs are an escape, a place to let loose.
The interior is so luxurious, and it's an experience you don't usually get. There's this uplifting atmosphere. Everyone hypes each other up. It's that kind of vibe.
But what starts out as flirtation also often spirals into financial ruin. Women, many from vulnerable backgrounds, have reportedly been manipulated into racking up debts so deep and so steep, some are coerced into sex work just to pay them off.
One major issue is that many of the girls who go to host clubs are very young and often don't have much financial means. Yet they're pressured into running tabs far beyond what they can afford, like being asked to buy a 500,000 or 1 million yen bottle, even if the host doesn't explicitly demand it. Even subtle remarks can create that pressure.
The crackdown follows the introduction of a new law in June banning any form of emotional manipulation that drives women to overspend. It strikes at the core of the host club business model, where romance is scripted, intimacy is transactional, and love is just a lie wrapped in velvet and vodka. The owners of the club are not happy.
Honestly, I think the industry is heading toward decline. Girls might not change much. Some might even find it easier to come now that the pressure's off, so that customer base could expand. But if there are fewer boys, naturally fewer girls will come.
Japanese authorities are now actively enforcing these regulations, seeking to ensure fair practices and prevent financial exploitation. This regulatory shift marks a pivotal moment for Japan's nightlife, aiming to redefine the boundaries of acceptable conduct within an industry that has long operated on the nuances of emotional engagement and significant financial transactions, striving for a more equitable environment for all.